If you guys prefer that, if you want a handout to follow along, I have those available too, so either way. So this is a follow-up to our last conversation. The last conversation, we went through a number of different things. We went through the surplus, some financial updates, how to allocate that surplus, and then talking specifically about the community center. As we were talking about that, the city council asked that we look a little closer at the phasing, some options, and how to fund those options. So that's the purpose of today, is to follow up on that conversation. So the first slide here, this is just a summary of what we talked about last time. So with number 2, we did revise that to be the $45,000 transfer. It's kind of the first phase of the transfer to get to that projected sick leave buyout, and we would revisit that next fiscal year. And then at the end of the day, what that left, and this is a little different than last time on number 4, that left about $562,000 really for the city council discretion and part of the discussion that we're talking about today. So as we talk about the parking lot, we started looking, and I think last time we talked a little bit about just doing some asphalt options out there. So this is something that we presented years ago to a city council. I can't remember everyone who was on it. But I just wanted to real quickly touch on the pavers versus asphalt, because I get questions from the community all the time of why we do it. And a lot of times people say they think it's decorative or just doing something that we think is aesthetically pleasing, and that's really not it. So one thing I would point out, and this is based off a life cycle cost of a paver street versus a asphalt concrete street. And essentially, this is over a 50-year life, and we chose 50 years because that is what we believe the life of pavers are. But they're essentially the same in cost, in a total present worth cost over that 50-year cycle. And really what happens is pavers, you're paying more now for the installation of pavers, but they don't require the financial commitment for maintenance that asphalt requires. So over time, the asphalt becomes just as expensive as pavers. The one thing that really why we do this is because we have limited street and road funding. And the money that we mostly receive is money that has not been indexed since 1990. It has not kept up with inflation and increases in construction prices, except for SB1 that is being indexed. That's the only portion of the funding that we get that is indexed. So it's been a challenge to continue to expand asphalt roads with your funds really not being increased and indexed over time to keep up with construction. So the approach the city took, and this is probably 15 or so years ago, was what pavers allowed the city to do is put in new paver roads, even with the higher construction costs. And what we really try to do is get developers to pay those, grants to pay for those, or the third option is we just save up to pay for those. But by doing that, we're able to take the limited street and road money that we get and really focus that on existing asphalt roads and prevent them from failing and requiring expensive reconstruction. So that's kind of been the approach of not diluting that money on more asphalt roads, more asphalt in the city of Ripon, but really allowing us to take that limited money and focusing on what we have now. And the other thing I would say is, over time, is very likely our street and road funding will be reduced. Right now, we're using about 30% of our overall revenue is coming from LTF, that's the local transit fund. Because of the size of Ripon and we don't have unmet transit needs, we're able to use 75% of that. We used to be able to use 100% of that for street and road funding, but they've been reduced down to 75%. And I would guess over time it's going to be a battle that we go through. Leo and I went through this not too long ago, but future city council members and staff are going to go through this, and I think over time LTF is going to go to 100% to street and road. So. Transit. I'm sorry, transit. So anyway, that's kind of how we got to the paver standard that is adopted right now in the city.
Kevin, one question on that. I wasn't aware,
Oh.
you put pavers over 11 inches of AB and pavement over 7 inches. Is that standard for each of those? I didn't recall that difference.
Yeah, you know, the reason we do this as part of this analysis is to get the same structural section of pavement, if you will. So we have a guide we use when we come up with these sections, and this is essentially equal as far as strength.
Okay.
So the overall project, and this is what we talked about last time, it is close to a $1.9 million project. Right now, the scope of that project, and this could change based off council priorities, but it is to reconstruct the 2 existing parking lots that are not within the green hatch. And then to add that area within that green box as a additional parking lot. As you can see, it also helps with circulation. So you can enter from 4th Street and get to all the parking lots. That is a nice feature. So it would be to add that box. And all of that would be paver parking lot. So we would rip everything out, reconstruct it with new asphalt base, storm drainage, curbs where needed, and put pavers throughout that entire area.
All right, I got a question already.
Yeah.
It says full project, 1.9 million, but did I just hear you say that full project is everything but what's in the green?
No, it includes that.
Oh,
I just wanted to note that that's the new portion of the
Okay.
parking lot. When you looked at the whole drawing, it all looked like it was kind of what's
Okay.
there today.
All right.
But that would,
Right now, that's part of the baseball field.
that is part of the baseball
Yeah.
fields, yeah. So with that, we would relocate that second baseball field, the one to the south there, further to the west, so we could add this parking, and we show that there. And then as far as the baseball fields go, the plan was new fence, and this goes for both fields, the field closest to 4th and that middle field. New fencing, the larger dugouts. We do have concrete flat work as well, so when you go to the dugouts and walk around to the different seating areas, you essentially will have a concrete path from the parking lots all through the seating area, so it meets all the ADA requirements. And that's shown on that hatch work on there, if you could see that's all new concrete that would be going in.
Speckled,
Yeah,
speckled part in there?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's big enough to step on dirt and mud and
Yeah, a little cleaner look, meets some ADA access requirements, and yes, a much cleaner look. So that's still the whole project, 1.9 million. The phasing that we laid out here, the phase 1, this would be about $550,000. So within the red boxes, we would apply a micro surface and a slurry seal just to clean up those parking lots, and we could restripe them after that. So we'll do as best we can to clean up the areas that are completely deteriorated. Won't be perfect, but at least buy some time so the city council could save up some money to do phase 2. This does include the green box and constructing that new parking lot. At this time, what we have in there is asphalt base and probably probably a 2-inch section of asphalt, I think is what we assumed in here.
In the green box?
In the green box, yeah.
Is there any resurfacing that goes on in the red box areas prior to applying the microsurface?
No, well, I mean, the microsurface will even some of it out, but it's not a perfect.
Okay.
You'll still, when you get close to it and you walk on it, you're still
Yeah,
going up and
yeah,
down,
okay.
yeah.
and you're gonna paint parking spaces.
And we'll paint the parking spaces as what's shown on here.
Microsurface slurry seal, what you did over my cul-de-sac?
Close, that also, what we had over there was also a third treatment in there, the asphalt rubber. We could do that here too, but we weren't putting that, we didn't have that,
One layer less?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
picture in my head what we're doing.
But it's very close, very similar. And then baseball field improvements on the phase one would still be the same, relocating that baseball field and those improvements as I previously discussed. And then phase two is $1.75 million, and that is reconstructing, the two red boxes and the green box with pavers. So you can see by phasing it, you're probably spending $300,000-$400,000 more than if you do it all today. But again, you could phase it if you choose to.
When you do the paver, everything comes out, right? You
Yep.
put base rock and start all over.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
I would
paving the
guess,
green box, and then X years later, you're tearing it out and putting pavers in.
yeah, and I would guess there's probably not a lot of base rock in there.
Oh,
now.
I bet you there's none.
Yeah,
There's probably 2 inches of pavement on there that.
like when we did Mulholland, that's what we found on Mulholland too.
Yeah, my
And-
cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
there is no
Right,
gravel underneath that pavement.
Yeah.
None.
yeah,
Good ground for building roads on.
yeah, right,
Sand.
no clay, yeah.
If you get it compacted.
We got a foot of base rock on our pavers on our house.
Yeah, yeah. On our next slide. So this is the slide we talked a little bit about last time. These are the different pots of money the city council could look to fund this project. And the recommended transfers are essentially, everyone in black is related to the 21-22 surplus. So you could see, so it's a 1.285, I'll walk you through it. This total surplus was about $1.285 million. So $1 million of that is being transferred to the black you see on there, the black numbers. And then $255,000 was expense of the general fund to do the 3% one-time payment to the employees. So the sum of those two numbers is the 1.285 million. And then the street and road reserve, that's council policy, that was $424,000 transferred there. And then it's the $561,000, that is the discretion of the council. I put it in here in Department General Capital, but it really could go to any fund. The item in red is what we talked about last time. I just wanted to show it on here, just in case council wanted to talk about that again. But that is an option to transfer $1.2 million from the AB 1600 fund to the Park and Rec General Capital to go towards this project if the council chose. And I have that slide if you want to revisit those pros and cons again, but
Where does, okay, I see the plus 1.2. Where does it come from?
that's from the AB 1600. So I don't show that on here.
Oh, all right.
That is.
How much
from-
would be left in the AB 1600 if we did that?
Oh, yeah, it's 6 million, 5 plus million.
Reduces the overall balance of the AB 1600 funds from $9.8 million to $8.6 million.
No, that's
All
all
of
the
them,
AB
yeah.
1600.
Lisa, do you have that at your fingertips just for the Park and Rec?
It's currently 1.2.
Yeah,
So it would go to zero.
yeah.
Okay.
So are you able to do that because we're classifying this as a new project?
No, we would be able to do that because when we did the Rage parking lot,
That's right. You use general fund money?
No, you transfer
No, the money for the Rage parking lot is supposed to be paid back so that eventually this
Oh, yeah.
1.2 million would
Right.
not disappear.
So now we can do, okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So a sleight of hand.
Well, and it is being paid back.
Well, and it comes down to,
It
the-
is.
to me, it comes down to as Lisa and I were talking about this and looking back, it is how these funds are used. AB 1600 are for growth projects, and there's a certain amount of integrity between these funds and keeping that for growth. And having less money there is fine, it just means there's no future projects, but, the other side of it is the Park and Rec General Capital Fund is general fund money, and that's used for replacement. So if you're gonna replace whatever, like a use is at the community center. So there's a certain, we're struggling with funding that. So that's kind of how we ended up with this thought of helping to fund that project.
The one problem with doing it that way, and I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but with the way growth is occurring right now, we're not gonna be able to do anything else in park and recreation because it'll be zero.
Right, yeah, and that's a little bit where it comes with some of the council priorities. If there's a project you're looking at, a new project, let's say it was phase 2 of the skate park, or a BMX track, or another baseball field, probably a little bit of a different discussion.
Well, that was gonna be my question is, I mean, is there something that's outstanding that we would say, okay, that, you know, you build a new subdivision, it's gonna come with a new park or whatever, you know, there's not gonna be something like that that needs to be funded by the
Right.
city. You know, to me, I don't look at other, you know, I don't look at it Missland and say, okay, we're gonna spend 1.2 million on something out there unless someone else wants to build it. We're probably not gonna spend money there. Is there somewhere else that we could say this money needs to go in the next
The-
3-5 years?
The biggest thing really would be related, at least the ones we've talked about, is, you know, the Tennis Foundation has a desire to do those tennis courts out there. The draft MOU, and they have the draft MOU right now, and they're reviewing it. But we would be responsible for site circulation, and parking, right now. So, you know, and it doesn't happen without money. So, you know, that $1.2 million could go towards that project.
The resurfacing of the existing tennis courts, though, that is already budgeted
Yeah.
and is not part of this.
Yeah, that's a separate project that's funded and moving forward.
I mean, we could continue to think about what we can do and should we do and all that, but I'm with Dan, I don't see anything on the, except for the tennis courts, but we still gotta have some priorities. So do we hold it back and not do this project? That seems like a good project, cause we might do that one.
Exactly.
Right, to me, it's like the baseball
Yeah.
fields and the community center stuff, that benefits the community at large.
Yes.
The tennis courts out there, if they wanna build those, that's fine,
Yeah.
it's really nice that they're gonna do that, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like us, we're sitting here saying, oh, we really need tennis courts out there. If
Right.
they wanna build it, fine, then we'll figure out a way to do whatever we need to do to make it work, but this seems like a project that is actually gonna benefit, and not only the baseball fields, but just all access to the
It's gonna
community center.
benefit the whole town.
Yeah.
Plus,
exactly.
that's not done yet. That baseball field area is trash.
Yeah,
Right.
It
and
needs
the-
to be brought up to,
the
I mean, you go out there and you look at Ripon as being this big top community. You walk out there and you trip over all
That
Yeah.
place,
crap.
Hey,
that undercuts everything.
It
we
does,
talk
it does,
about.
it
Old
does.
Mayberry
We
here,
were even
our
talking
field last
about
time it's been
painting
up
the
there. When's
doggone
last
building,
time
you
it
know,
was
to make it
Yeah,
look better.
Mike and I were saying, once you do the parking lots and you do this project, all of a sudden you're gonna say, man, what an ugly color on these buildings. You don't realize it right now, cause the
No,
parking
cause you're
lot-
looking down, making sure you don't
parking lot's
trip.
So bad.
Yeah.
Could you go to the next slide, Hunter? So one of the things, just to summarize it and maybe simplify it a little bit for the council of laying out some options, but that top one is essentially what we just talked about, using the 561,000 left over from the surplus. 1.2 if the council wanted to transfer that from AB 1600, and the rest would come out of the general department capital, and that has about $1.4 million in it. And I think the rec general capital has about $1.3, $1.4 million in it as well, after the transfer of the 1.2. The other option, if the council wanted to, and this is similar to how the Pizza Plus parking lot got done, we could use the 561,000 from the surplus, and then the remaining could come out of the street and road reserve. That's a fund the council has the discretion of how that's used. And I think right now, after this transfer, we have close to $2.9 million in the street and road reserve fund. So that's an option for the council. And the last one is just, you know, using the available surplus to fund phase 1, if the council chose to. So that kind of summarizes the options. There may be others, but at least what I thought of in my mind for the council to consider and give direction. to
This
staff.
sounds terrible, but I would take it out of the rec general capital because we need money for streets and roads.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, we need that $1.3 million. We got some terrible
Well,
roads.
and to me, the difference, the Pizza Plus parking lot is part of downtown. It's used every day,
It is.
full, every day for people to be business. This parking lot isn't the same. There are gonna be lots of days you're gonna drive by and there's not gonna be a car in it. It's a special, it's a park and recreation parking lot. It's not a business parking lot. And I agree with Mike. I can come up with $4 million worth of street and road improvements in about 25 minutes
Right.
and have another $4 million on top of
Right,
that.
we could spend every
Yeah.
dime on
Yeah.
projects we actually
Yeah.
have to get done,
Yeah.
the street and road money.
I agree with all that, and
Yeah.
the other thing I would add is we are beginning the design for the Locust Avenue project right there. We're hoping to get some grant money, but
We
we are
need it.
starting that project, and this would be what we're hoping to
Absolutely.
leverage to get grant money for, so.
Absolutely.
I agree with everything you said, I just wanted to lay out
Some
options.
Yeah, if we go get grant money, we say we got one, no, not 1.3, we got more than that. We go to try to get some grant money and we've got 30, 40, 50% of it. Chances are better that we'll get it than if we don't
Well,
match.
odds are you'll get half the cost of doing the
Or-
project than the
exactly.
full cost of the project.
Exactly.
Right, right.
Kevin, do you or Kai have a CapEx anticipated projects over the next 5 years for Parks and Rec?
I do. I do.
T-ball. Miniature golf.
So this is
Now you can
something,
Get your dog trained.
Exactly,
Yeah, I saw
exactly.
that, yeah.
Exactly.
so it's, I don't have it as part of this presentation, but it was at the last, I had a slide for it. But if you look on here, you'll see Park and Rec general capital items. There was I'll read them to you guys. 5 public work trucks. So this is over the next 5 years. 5 public works trucks for $200,000. Play equipment at Vermeulen, play equipment at Zoomstein, and then play equipment at Community Center. Each of those, they have budgeted at $100,000 each.
So it's $500,000.
Yeah, so that's what's planned over the next 5 years. And every year as part of the budget, James and Kai, they go to all the parks and they update. We have a database of
Right.
all the different stuff, so they update that. And this was based off the 22, 23 budget.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta keep that stuff safe.
And assuming you have some budget surplus over the next 5 years too, we can decide to move some of that
That's
money
right.
into,
Yeah.
you know, if you steal this money from here, or if you feel
Well,
like you've
if this
stolen this
project
money.
were done and a year from now, we have $500,000 of discretionary money
Back.
and you need 2 trucks, they're paid for.
Right.
Exactly.
Versus trying to come up with $1.9 million next year to do something that, in my mind, half of it we've already done once, or we're gonna tear it out and do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and you know, Mike was asking me about the timing of construction. And, you know, usually we struggle with the design and getting that done and bid documents together. This one, the challenge is gonna be working between Little League, Chiefs, Ripon Christian Tennis. I mean, it gets a lot of.
You're gonna tell half the park on the street for
Right.
3 months while you do this.
Right, you know, and then you put on top of Almond Blossom and people's weddings, and
Yeah, I think like February 7th is a good start.
it's a good thing Kelly's not here right now, hearing that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it does get a lot of use out there, and I'll tell you, I know the Little League came in and they said they have an interest in a project out there. I got a call from the quarterback club, they're interested in participating. I think one of the council members
Right,
told
we
me
might
they
be able
were,
to get $1 million raised for
yeah,
this
they were
thing.
approached. And not that all of that would go to this project, but, you know, what I told the quarterback club, I said, once we kind of know what's going on here, let's talk about some other options, because right now, there's no storage for Little League or Chiefs. You know, if you want to build a building to store all your equipment, what you use to drag the fields and for football, you know, do something like that. If you guys want to do batting cages out there, I've seen some cities have just really pretty simple batting cages. They take kids in before the games and hit in tunnels rather than on the fields, which always takes up time and is more time consuming. So they're all interested in doing something, but you can see the public support of, you know, participating in this project.
And if we do this, all of a sudden it becomes an improvement of a nice looking place versus
Right,
we're gonna put this brand new building over there and look at the crap that
Exactly,
we're putting it up for.
right,
exactly.
right.
Well, plus, I think if people see it, they're gonna be more apt to say, you know,
Well,
we're gonna get
I
now
agree.
more actively
Now I'm
involved.
willing
Yeah,
to put
exactly.
something out
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah,
It needs to be done.
Option 1,
Yep,
I agree.
I agree,
okay.
I agree.
we'll move forward with that, then I'll bring back a schedule, we'll meet with the different groups and update them on what we're doing, and what the plan is, and start getting some feedback. We're happy to share the design, get comments on the design
Sure.
from folks, and work with them on the scheduling of the project. So, once we have that information, I'll update the city council with it.
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Seems great. About time. Have you all been out there and seen that baseball field?
Not in
Oh, I walked it, man.
recently, but I mean,
It's,
I see it, I know
it's
I know what it
terrible.
looks like. I know what it looked like 20 years ago when my brothers were playing there.
it looks the same or
Community
worse.
center? Yeah.
It looks the
Looks the
same
same
or
now
worse.
as it did when I moved to town.
Yeah.
I just
exactly.
think of our, we're rightfully proud of the reputation we have in this town, and when people go to an event at the community center, that's pretty rough.
Oh, it is.
And this will be a very nice improvement that'll reflect well.
Well, do you remember when, all those rut hole, whatever you call them, oh geez, the holes everywhere. You had to watch where you walked. At least we filled those in, but
Yeah.
it was,
That's where you have National Night Out, and, it's just.
Yeah,
really-
Well, that's what I was gonna say, when we started talking about this, that's what I thought about, was National Night
Yeah.
Out.
yeah.
It's a hazard getting from the one side of that parking lot to the other.
It is.
Well,
It
you
is.
get
That's why you have
this
the fire
done, and,
department out there.
well, but
Yeah,
you
police
get this
department,
done, and all of a
fire
sudden
department,
you've got an area that you're gonna be using
ambulance,
and not have to worry. I mean, it's
Like a
gonna,
football.
the whole place is gonna change when if something like this gets done.
Plus you rent this out. And
Right, it
so if
generates
somebody
some
came and
revenue.
looked, well, but I'm thinking if somebody came and looked at it and had a choice of where they could go, and there was a place just as nice, but a nice parking lot, and looked better, they may choose someplace else. This may be we may get overbooked on this thing, looking much nicer. I mean, Mona wouldn't, never mind.
I mean, that's where I wanna have my wedding, then.
Which one? Oh,
Second one.
Yeah, does Danae know?
Yeah.
Does she know where the guns are at? Yeah, okay, you're lucky then. I gotta tell you about guns later.
I've been to a heck of a quinceañería there.
A what?
now what are we gonna do for 30
Quinceañería?
minutes?
What's that?
Yeah, I went by faster. than that.
Mexican.
15-year-old,
Oh, for, the ranch guys? Oh, really?
oh man, that was a blowout.
Wow.
Now, if this had been a workshop in Manteca, it'd be
Oh,
11:30 now, and we still wouldn't be done.
We'd also have like 87 angry people out there too.
Uh-huh.
Okay, at 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Ripon City Council meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And then please stay standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we begin this meeting regarding our city, we lift up before you all the cities and people in our state who are being impacted by the floodwaters, wind, and lack of power. We pray for the protection of the emergency responders who are providing help to those in need. We ask you to give peace and strength to those who have evacuated and are in emergency shelters. We ask you to give relief from the floodwaters and protect communities that are in danger but haven't yet been flooded. And we pray that you would help families and communities in the coming days and weeks to rebuild. Almighty God, as we see how quickly trials can come, we give you thanks for all the times we enjoy with no trials. And we also give you thanks that in the midst of trials, we can rest in you and turn to you for help. These storms remind us that our power is limited. And these storms remind us we need your grace and mercy. So we ask for the grace and mercy which you provide through Jesus, your Son. And we ask you to come and bless this meeting. And we pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Let's see here. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dean Euchre. Gary Barton.
Present.
Daniel DeGraff. Here. Vice Mayor Leo Zuber.
Here,
Mayor Mike Restuccia.
Present. Okay, this is time for public discussion. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to talk about something that's not on the agenda? Nope. No? All right. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting of December 13th.
move to approve.
Okay.
Second that.
As soon as I get my thing running.
Okay. 4-0 vote. Approval of the agenda as posted. Were there any amendments?
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. And let's see here, so there's nothing on the consent. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Bear with me here. So part of the consent calendar, just so you know, was proclamation for the Ripon High School, okay? So Rod, can I have you come up, please? And actually, not yet, but I want all you kids to come up when we're done, because I want you guys to take pictures. Plus, I have something for you. Can you hear me okay? Well, first of all, Ron, let me tell you, we're not only all proud of you here at the council, but you guys have been awesome. The whole city is proud of you guys, so congratulations for what you've done. It's absolutely awesome. It's cool. So this is a proclamation honoring the Ripon High School 2022 athletic accomplishments. So I'm gonna go and read this. It's not that long, but I like to read it. Whereas the hard work, dedication, sportsmanship, talent, and exceptional team chemistry of the 2022 Ripon High School varsity volleyball and varsity water polo teams has enabled these students athletes to earn section titles, and whereas Ripon School High Girls Volleyball team earned the Division IV section championship, and whereas
recognize and heartily congratulate Ripon High School on its outstanding accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Ripon, speaking on behalf of all our people in Ripon, publicly congratulate the Ripon High girls volleyball team, boys water polo team, and the girls water polo team on their accomplishments. Congratulations.
He's right there.
It's gonna get you in the background a little bit.
I know.
Yeah, stay with me, because when we're done, I want, anybody want to take a picture?
Yeah.
I mean, take your camera.
Hide from all of them. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. I want the team to come on. Come on, team. Come on, team, all you, all the team.
Go team, go. What about us team, Mike? We want you in the No, I was sitting back here.
We want athletes up there with Daniel.
I no longer look like an athlete, I'm sorry.
Bernie, like, first couple out, trying to, oh, and go behind him, the key, go behind him.
You ever tried to herd cats?
Yeah, right? Just teenage athletes.
What about the pins? What about the pins?
Oh, yeah, so, you grab it. No, hold on, I'm going to. So also, we have some City of Ripon pins that I'm gonna give the garage to gift you all, and they're really nice pins, so you need to wear them, that's part of the deal. Congratulations again.
I don't even know what this was.
Okay. Oh. You sure you don't want to stick around for the rest of the meeting? Okay, all right, yeah. Have one for me. It was, yeah.
Back at it again. Yeah, get your homework done.
Study hard.
Get those grades.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Gotta be eligible for spring sports.
Now we're down to the normal amount of people that usually come. Okay, the next is a public hearing. This is a public hearing to consider the rezoning of properties located at 820 North Stockton Avenue and 225 Franklin Lane from urban reserve to single-family residential. I'm gonna have Ken start, I'll turn it over to the council, then I'll give it to the public, then I'll come back to council.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. Yeah, this is a public hearing for rezoning of the properties you just mentioned. At the December 19th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission did review the parcel map and the rezone for these properties and recommended council approval for the rezone. That's what's in front of you here tonight. There's a staff report included with the public hearing, and at this point, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions from the council? Yes? Okay, so I'll open it up to the public. Anybody in the public want to comment on this public hearing? Okay, get in line, please. I mean, there's a lot of you, so you're going to have to take a number. Okay, seeing nobody, I'm going to turn it back over to council.
Yeah, I have a question. Ken, the parcel on Stockton Street has an existing residence on it. And in our conversation, you said that was, if I understood correctly, is gonna be split in two, and there will now be two residents on it. The existing unit seems to be sort of right in the middle of it. So how is that gonna work?
Yeah, so, actually, the developer, when they go to develop those lots, is gonna demolish a good chunk of that house to meet the setbacks. So they're gonna, demolish some of that house, remodel the entire, house and bring it up to standards and such. So it'll look like a new home there, but it'll be a remodel. It won't be a brand-new build.
Thank you.
Good, okay. So I'm gonna close the public hearing, and now we're gonna move to ordinances. This is the first reading and introduction. This ordinance rezones properties located at 820 North Stockton Avenue and 225 Franklin Lane, exactly what we just had the public hearing about.
Can we go ahead and make a motion?
Yes.
I'll move that, don't we waive the first reading and introduce the ordinance? Correct. That's
Yes.
my motion.
Okay.
I will second that.
Okay. 4-0 vote. Okay. Reports, Chief.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, honorable city council, members of the public. One announcement, on February 8th, we will have our first AOR meeting of the year to be held in the Police Department's Emergency Operations Center at 7 p.m. This will be for Area 1, which is north of 99 and west of North Ripon. And Sergeant Burgos will be leading that presentation.
Great, thanks, Chief. Kai? Nothing. Ken?
A couple items for our planning commission meeting, which is next Monday. We do have a parcel map request on the corner of Vera and Doak down by our courtyard. Someone's looking to split a lot into 3 residential lots there. And we do have a townhouse project that's looking for approval on Gilbert Drive, right across from the cemetery. There's a vacant parcel over there. Actually, it's a nice looking project, so the commission will be looking at those 2 projects on Monday. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. James?
Yeah, a couple things, Mr. Mayor. One is I'll be bringing a revenue analysis to the council regarding the recycling center, but I did just want to touch on cardboard down there at the recycling center. It has kind of dropped off, so to speak, and the revenue that the school has gotten for this calendar year is $14,000 approximately, give or take, and the city is supplementing about 7,000 of that, based on the agreement that we had with them to pay them up to $60 a ton. We were down at $0 and $5 a ton for the last couple of months. It did just recently go back up to $15, but I just wanted to touch on that, and then I'll bring forward a more detailed revenue analysis of the entire recycling center next month. And then the water usage for December, we were down 16% from our 2013 numbers. We were up 8% from our 2021 numbers. And then just touching on our brush pickup, it has ended. We ended on January 7th. Our crews will be going through the rest of this week and partway into next week, cleaning up the last piles that are currently on the street.
Even like Christmas trees and things like that I see sitting on the street?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they're going through, doing their final sweep.
So to speak. That was it. Good, thank you. Council?
We forgot to report out from the closed session, Mr. Mayor.
We didn't have a closed
We
session.
didn't have a closed session.
Oh, it was just a workshop?
Yes.
See, Kevin? We were looking at each other going, why did this happen? I was gonna say, I won't tell Euchre if you don't. Since I'm wrong, I'll tell Euchre my own way tomorrow.
Anything else, Tom?
I feel compelled to kind of make something up at this point, but not compelled enough to actually do it. So, Mr. Mayor, I have no other report. Thank you.
Okay. Kevin?
Nothing to report, but I was Tom's second opinion on that, and I missed that too, so I apologize to Tom.
Where does the next?
I suspect you
We
guys,
usually are much better together than
I
this.
suspect you should get a third one in the future. Get a third one in the future.
Dean isn't here because he's such a stickler for these things, we know that.
Kevin, that's when you just leave him dangling. Just, hey, I had nothing to do with it.
Exactly. You could have said you voted no and just let him hang by himself. Councilman Barton.
Yeah, just wanted to express gratitude for the abundant rain and incredible snowpack. We, as everyone knows, are in desperate need of that. Sometimes, as I mentioned to Chief Ormonde, you need to be careful what you pray for. We've gotten a lot of it, but it also gives us an opportunity to remember how important our first responders are. I appreciate the invocation tonight. There are a lot of people working very hard in this state right now to protect the citizens of California, and very grateful for that. I also wanted to, it highlights the folks in our Public Works Department who are out clearing drains and keeping storm water flowing into those places it's supposed to be going. And so thank you, James, to you and your team for keeping our city thriving during these extreme weather events.
They accept gifts, in case, you know. Councilman DeGraff.
Yeah, not a whole lot. Kelly, you have anything coming up? Anything you're planning?
Thursday?
Thursday.
Kickoff round blossom here. Please come listen to some speeches from some lovely young women.
Okay.
And fashion show's February 8th as well. So at Calvary.
Fashion show February 8th.
February 8th, tickets are on sale, and then it's on to the festival.
Yep, bring it on. Let's go.
I got a question. How many young ladies do you have that are giving speeches?
10.
10.
Nice.
Is that 6 o'clock on
Yes.
Thursday?
6 o'clock speeches start.
Yep.
Okay. With that, you know, as per usual, thank you to you all being here, listening to us. Obviously, there's a few more earlier, and you know they decided to skip out. You know, their loss, I guess. But yeah, and ditto to what Gary said. You know, for Public Works and everybody working so hard in public safety to keep everybody safe and keep the water flowing. So we're gonna get a few more inches, I think, here in the next few days. So good luck to everyone. Stay safe. That's all.
Thank you. I'm gonna wait a minute just in case. Nothing?
No.
Wow. Okay, I have,
You've got it written down.
Yeah.
I wrote it down
It's gonna
because
be a
I
good
don't,
one when you write it
no,
down.
because I don't wanna miss anything. So I have not had more confidence in this county in 25 years that I've been associated with this council than I do now. And let me tell you why. Chief and I went to Withrose, the sheriff's swearing in. He's a man of faith. He retired, I don't know when he retired, a couple years, probably 6 years ago. He didn't need to be the sheriff, but he saw that there was a problem in the sheriff's department. He ran the first time, 4 years. His wife didn't want him to run. He's running again. Well, he ran again. Nobody ran against him because nobody wanted to challenge him. And he has more work to do. And he's not gonna let people down. He's always wanted to get bad people, and now he's got some help, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Then we also went to Ron Freitas, our current district attorney, and Mona joined us as well. He's also a man of faith, and he saw a problem. He could have retired. He was a deputy district attorney. I was his co-chair for the South County to get him elected, so I'm proud of that. And he saw a problem that the DA at the time was not prosecuting bad people and letting them out, and we're all very familiar with that. And so he decided he was gonna run. The other thing is that, I don't wanna mention names, but I'll say that our Board of Supervisors the last 8 years have been dysfunctional. They'd have 8-hour meetings and get nothing done. Today, they had a Board of Supervisors meeting that lasted 2.5 hours because they got stuff done. I've known those people from 4 to 20 years. They're all gonna get along, they all get along. They care about this county, and they're gonna do the right thing for the county. And they're gonna work for the residents. I spoke with, at Freitas' swearing, and I spoke with the Stockton PD, Escalon, Lathrop, of course ours, and Tracy. They are jazzed now to have a DA that's gonna be on their side to help prosecute people when they arrest them. This council has been the best council I've ever sat with. In 25 years, this is the best council I've sat with. So we're talking about a sheriff that's not gonna let bad people go. We're talking about a DA that's gonna prosecute. We're talking about the police departments that all wanna get the bad guys, and a council here that I believe makes some of the best decisions that a council can make. And I'll tell you what, I've had experience with San Jose City Council. You think they'd have the best and brightest? Boy, I'll tell you, I'd put this council to run San Jose City in any day. 5 of us can do a better job than 11 of them can do. Our staff is second to none, and I'll tell you, it starts at the top with Kevin, and I'll tell you, everybody works very hard. So why do I have confidence? Because of all the reasons I mentioned. I'll tell you, I am more jazzed now about this county than I have ever been. And I'll quote Withrow, this is gonna be the safest county in the state of California, and he said, in fact, the United States. So I hope to goodness it all comes true. But all the pieces are aligned to have a very, very good county. And I tell you, I haven't been this jazzed in 25 years. So thank you, council, thank you, staff, and thank to the elected people that the public put in there. There's a few more changes that need to be made, and we'll be just fine. So that's all I have to say.
Are we adjourned?
Oh, so, yeah, so
He's got more.
meeting adjourned.